Hola. Van ready?
No, you only dropped it off a week ago.
Oh, should be ready, but...
Why have you got my forklift?
Oh, I might have broken your cocks.
Why have you got my cocks on my forklift?
Well, I figure you could probably fix it and then I can borrow it again.
All right.
Let's go, I'll give you a hand.
Welcome back to the Skid Factory. Millsy has come and gone. He came and he dropped off my mower that he broke, and he then spent a bit of time cataloguing all his parts that he had packed in the back of the van, putting them into sections and stacking them into super cheap boxes and writing on top of them what was in the boxes. Can be a bit of a problem when you've got a big project like this, doubling up on things, forgetting you've already bought something. So he went through and had a bit of a look and went and did find out that he had actually bought stuff that he didn't need and not bought stuff that he did need. So that's all sorted out. It's all stacked over in the corner there. So we're ready to start bolting things on for good. We've got to bolt everything onto the front of the car, as in all the stuff that David has fabricated. And the reason for that is it's all been fabricated to suit a particular driveline angle, which would have been the ZF box was still bolted up when he did all this fabrication work. So the best way to get the driveline angle right is to put everything on and make sure it all lines up, and then sit the driveline at that angle, and then we can make our mount. I took the tail housing down to Matt, and he drew up a CAD drawing of the radius of where the tail housing bolts on, where we're going to bolt a plate on underneath the bolts that hold the tail housing on, that then rises up and will meet up with the original hang mount. So the first thing we've got to do is get this bad boy bolted on. This is the exhaust manifold that David built. Millsy's a bit of a perfectionist and also a bit strange, and I think it might run into the family. All the work that David's done has been like insanely perfect. He's very particular about the work he does.
That's a good thing though, Alan.
It is a good thing, 100%. I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but yeah, it is. It's impressive. So this manifold is replacing the sort of modified cast manifold that we had made. I guess probably wasn't the greatest thing in the world, but it certainly did the job. But also the new turbo, it wouldn't fit in the location that the current setup was, and also the V-band was a lot bigger, since it's a couple of sizes bigger in turbo size. So this is a fancy looking thing. Dave's actually built this using the radial flow theory. So in that merge collector there, the runners are actually placed in firing order. So we've got number 1, number 5, number 3, number 6, number 2, number 4. So it goes into a radial circle. I don't know whether that makes any difference or not, but I appreciate the thought and the effort, and it's certainly not going to cause any. It's not going to be detrimental. So
there's also EGT bungs, and it's been coated.
It's got EGT bungs, which we have to just take those caps off and screw in the Haltech TC8 bungs when we figure out how long they've got to be. And it's been ceramic coated by the coating garage, which I think is made of Hoffs as well. So check them out. I'm going to probably put an exhaust manifold pressure port in it as well, because the Nexus has 5 billion inputs to it, and that's one of the things that, although I don't think it's going to have exhaust manifold pressure problems, it's just data, so it's a good thing to see. If there is a problem, you can see it, otherwise you're just guessing. So we'll probably tap just an 1/8 NPT thread into it before we put it on, and work the rest out later. So let's get into it.
Do it.
Do it.
You do it.
Do it. Make sure you hydrate, kids. I've just noticed that the radial flow is in reverse rotation, so it's Coriolis correct for the southern hemisphere.
Oh.
I'm not sure if that's going to affect it when he goes to drag week, but time will tell.
So wait, when he's in the States, does that mean Millsy has to get another manifold made?
Oh, I don't know. Might just need to change the firing order of the engine, maybe.
Oh yeah.
Hey everybody! Ugh. Do you reckon I can fit out through that hole?
Doubt it.
No?
You've had a few pies, bro.
A few too many deep fried schnitzels.
Schnitzel.
Another job to tick off the list is to reinstall the brake booster and brake lines as they were removed to paint the engine bay. Next up is to bolt on the custom inlet manifold, which has also been coated in some fresh wrinkle black.
Loctite in the mouth. Is that Loctite?
Doesn't taste that bad, but I'm sure it's not real good for you. Tastes like lolly. Surely that's not legal.
How did you get it in your mouth?
I was trying to hold up the inlet manifold like this and it dripped. We finally got the engine and transmission angle correct. It was a bit of a bit of guesswork involved because the ZF box wasn't in the car when it got here, so we sort of had to go off the fitment of all this prefabricated stuff that Dave did. He fabricated it all with the ZF box still in the car, so we we got a bit sidetracked because the transmission looks like it's on a bizarre angle, but it's the actual shafts through the centre, or the output shaft is sort of at about 2.5 degrees, which is about right, and it's about the correct height for compared to the ZF. But it's just that these transmissions are made with a sort of an odd pan angle. It's about 5 degrees different to the shaft angle, so it always looks weird when you put them onto not a Chevy engine. So once we got our head around that and checked with Pete and a few other people, we're good to go. Everything lines up now. The turbo is a G42 1450 with a 128 exhaust housing, so the biggest housing you can specify for them. It's all V-band. Use these on, well, Benny uses one on his Cresta, and we also used one on the Benny's Mustang. It works well with this combo, proven to probably do 165 to 170 mile an hour and low eights in the quarter, which is probably a good thing for Millsy. We're using the wastegate that was on the other turbo, so it's a GFP EX50. This is the same gate that we've used on both the other 8-second Barras with that turbo, so we know it works well. All we've got to do is pop the cap off and stuff more springs in there, so it's got around about 25 psi base pressure, rather than it's probably got about 10 at the moment. So we'll do that in a moment. It just bolts up onto here, and we'll just fiddle around with this outlet here, so we can sort of probably needs to be rotated a bit so we can plumb it back to atmosphere. But once that's done, it's all sorted. We're going to replace all the lines with Teflon, just for reliability, rather than the rubber push-on stuff that was there. But we'll get to that later. There's going to have to be a fair bit of fittings put on this. We've got to replace the entire fuel system because it's one size too small for the new pumps and everything that are going into it. So we'll rip all that stuff out in time. We got all the intercooler pipes sort of test fitted, but we discovered that there's no joiners or clamps, so we've ordered them. So there's plenty of other work to do in the meantime, so we're just going to keep sorting through Millsy's boxes and pulling out parts and trying to figure out where they go, and that will keep us busy.
Replacing the springs in the Go Fast Spit's wastegate will allow for a higher base pressure. This will be required as Millsy plans on feeding the Barra some serious boost.
Will Bosch grease work on Siemens injectors?
Will Bosch grease work on Denso spark plugs?
That's my joke, and mine was better.
Denso IK27 spark plugs are being gapped to 0.35 of a millimetre using our calibrated plug gapping bench. Golebys 2400cc flow matched injectors are supplying fuel via a plasma manned fuel rail.
We've been chipping away at a few jobs, just mounting up the stuff that we actually know what it is and where it goes, like simple stuff like fuel rails and coils. The rest of the stuff we're still sorting through boxes and sort of holding them up and figuring out what to do. We do know that we had to take the fuel system tank out and get rid of the old fuel system. It's all too small. It's all going up to much larger sizing. So we pulled the tank down. We originally fitted one of these Phantom in tanks to it. Well, it was a single pump, so at some point Millsy's changed it to a dual pump version. So I don't know what sort of pumps are in there, but they're no longer going to be used for supplying the engine directly. They're only going to be used to supply the surge tank, and we'll probably only use one of them for that and just leave the other one sort of hanging out as a redundant pump in case something were to go wrong with that. With one of the other pumps inside, there's no point pulling it out and removing it. It can just stay in there. So we're going to have to replumb it, obviously, because it's all sort of set up to feed the engine with Y pieces and stuff, and it doesn't need to be like that anymore. So we'll figure that out and replumb it. This is the surge tank that David's made.
We couldn't figure out.
And it took a little while for us to figure out where it goes, but we have now, so it's all good.
Where does it go? Show me where it goes.
It goes up here.
Would you have, I would have never thought to mount it there, eh?
Whatever fits. It's all good. It's worthwhile saying that David is a very experienced fabricator and race car builder, so if you think you'd put it somewhere different, he doesn't care. So that tank there is going to feed a couple of these pumps. They're like a big spur gear, 1500 horsepower NA each. So plenty of pump. I don't expect you ever hear anything in the car again once these are running, but they will be staged to try and reduce that racket a little bit. But there's not much you can do about it when a pump that can flow that much fuel is going to be noisy. That's all there is to it, except maybe an engine mounted pump, which I don't think are available yet for Barras. Probably would have been a good idea in this case if they were. I bet that they'll have one come out just after we finish this and Millsy will want to fit it. Guaranteed. I'd probably consider this to still be in the tear down stage of the build. We're just sort of working out where everything goes and where everything is and if we've got it at all. We still need a fair bit of stuff. Started ordering AN fittings. There's going to be a lot of that. We're also waiting on a diff center and axle. And we've also ordered a Haltech Nexus R5 from Haltech, and they're pretty hot property at the moment, so we may have a small wait for that, but I'm looking forward to getting hold of that. So we knew this was going to happen because the Bedford is cursed and it always does this to us. So we have a backup plan, a plan B, and it's on the hoist right there. So next week we're going to jump away from the Bedford and start working on this backup plan. So if you want to have a sneak peek of what it is, you may have seen it on the hoist behind us. You can check it out up here.
No, you've already got the right corner.
There. Is there only one corner?
Yeah, you know this.
Why do I keep pointing at all the corners?
Because you just stuff with me all the time.
So it's up here.
Yeah.
It's a friend of ours. He's got his own YouTube channel just for shits and gigs. So check it out. We're going to improve that car, which is what we do. So see you next week. We'll jump on that car. We'll make it better because it's pretty cool. Is it cooler than this?
I mean...
It's rarer than this, I think.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Way rarer.
If you discount the retarded Driveline, it's probably rarer. Anyway, check it out next week. Thanks for watching. Visit the merch store if you want to support us, or jump on Patreon and watch the videos 48 hours earlier and no ads. Good deal. Thanks for watching. See you next week.
Hola.
Let's go again. Go again.
You're supposed to,
Hola.
Uh,
I'm here to pick up my van.
I did hola. Oh, right. Righto, pros. Hola. I'm here to pick up my van.
You've got to turn the key off.
All right.
What am I supposed to say after that?
You're meant to not laugh. Yeah.
An auto cue, bro.
Come on, you're used to this, aren't you?
Yeah, well, you normally do this 10 times too.
Just use the air blower in your mouth.
From my mustache.
Rinse it down with some cutting fluid. That might work.
Tastes less good as it goes by.